We took a break and Arisa was talking about people needing to put money in the bank. I mean, I don't know how I see money as money, something that should be spent, you know? I mean, I don't know what Tola thinks about that.
There's nothing wrong with putting money in the bank. However, you can apportion it. And in any investment portfolio, for example, you have assets giving you higher returns, and then you must have cash.
Seems like a lot of mathematics.
Not necessarily, it's just simple arithmetic, really. Mm-hmm. So, for example, you have 100,000. There's nothing wrong with having 20,000 in the bank for that cash need that you may need immediately and investing 80,000. Why do I say this? What's the average savings rate in Nigeria today? It's just somewhere between 3 and 5%. However, there are other asset classes that we've mentioned, equities, treasury bills, federal government bonds.
That give you high.
That give you much higher.
Which one is the highest?
Right now, it's treasury bills, right now.
Treasury bills.
However, there's another asset class called commercial paper, where you can get much higher returns issued by corporates, sometimes by SMEs, who need short-term financing, and their financial advisors arranging and put it together for them.
So what I hear, though, at the end of the day, people need advice.
Exactly.
Whatever it is, you need advice. Even if you understand what money is, you go to the experts to get the advice. Let me, at this point in time, take on some of the questions that some of you had asked before. And if I have the first question up, okay, you see what I mean? Temisa wants to know, how do I save on a low income with many expenses? I'll let you start, because you said if you had 100,000 naira, you should spend 20 and put 80. How many people, most times you get your money, many things are calling the name of that money. See, that was Temisa is saying. How can you save?
2 words, very simple. Discipline and budgeting. Now, it's easier said than done. I agree with you. Happens to me too.
So even to you?
Yeah, you know, because demands are, especially in this recession, we are just coming out of it anyway. However, if you have that culture of budgeting and you're disciplined enough, you'll be amazed at how much you can save from that little income.
Again, I'm thinking, take for example, Arisa in her book, Smart Money Woman, which I read, she spoke of a young girl who found herself suddenly out of a relationship and found out she had no money to do anything, but she was working in the bank.
Okay, so I think for me, I get this question a lot from my millennial readers, and I always feel like it's also about a mindset. The way you spend 10 naira is the way you're going to spend 10 million. Fact. Because have you noticed, if people start NYC, right, they complain about how their allowance is not enough. Then they get a permanent position in, say, a bank, and then they get promoted 5 years later. Nothing has changed. Like, they keep saying, I'm too broke, but meanwhile, they're earning 5 times what they were earning before. Why does this happen? Because consumption always rises to meet income. Because when you go from being a copper to getting that first bank job, you're thinking, okay, now I have to look like a banker. So I have to dress the way a banker dresses. I can't take the bus to work anymore. I have to buy a car. So we buy all these things, as in our consumption rises to meet our income. But if we've not learned the discipline, like he said, to start putting some aside when you earn a little, you will never earn enough to be able to put money aside.
But sincerely, Tola, minimum wage remains 18,000 naira. Minimum wages can't save. I don't think.
I think so. Do you know what I always tell my friends? How come someone's cook that earns way less than, say, their oga, can have land in the village, pay for shop, as in for their wife, pay their children's school fees, but they're earning maybe 40,000 or 50,000? How does that happen?
Tell me.
It's a lifestyle issue. If you look at some of the suburbs of Lagos, a lot of the landlords are artisans. A lot of the landlords are artisans. So you find out that, yes, maybe not even minimum wage, because you find out that even some of the people earning minimum wage actually work 2 jobs. You'll be surprised. They work the minimum wage. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. You see some of them working during the week, Monday to Friday, Saturday to Sunday. It's either they are riding keke or okada or driving a cab. And as a result of that, they make that extra income. But because they've managed to discipline themselves, they are able to achieve what she has just highlighted.
I guess they wanted me to address this one. It says, what percentage of my income is best to save monthly? So even if we have to save, established, no matter how small your money is, save first, then you invest it. So what is the advice on saving? What's the percentage?
It's relative. It's relative. So, for example, if you need to, there are some essentials. If you need to pay school fees, you need to feed yourself, you need to pay your rent and so on. If that's going to consume 80% of your income, it would be wrong for anybody to say you must save 30%, which leaves you with 70%, because these are essentials. Because remember, we're talking about low-income earners. So if the essentials would consume, let's say, even up to 85%, struggle to at least save 10%.
Okay. I think I have a different philosophy on that. So for me, I think save first before you start spending on your expenses. It sounds a little cuckoo, but this is my reasoning. If you put that 10% at least aside first, and then let's say you earn 100,000 and you put 10% aside every
That's 10,000 naira.
That's 10,000 naira. You now pretend that you earn 90,000, and guess what? You'll find a way to make it work, because there are people who earn 60,000 that are sending their children to school. So go and find out what schools they send their children to. There are people who earn 60,000 that are paying rent. So what lifestyle do they live? Because the real problem in Nigeria is that a lot of people have built lifestyles that are way more expensive than their income can support.
So standard, save something. So how do you develop that saving culture? Because if you go the religious way, for Christians, for example, God says the birds of the air, nobody feeds them. They'll tell you, what's the point saving for tomorrow? Well,
if you've been ever out of a job, then you understand why it's the same, right? Or if you've gone through the last recession we've all gone to, where a lot of people either lost their jobs or had serious pay cuts, a lot of people actually subsisted on their savings. So if you've ever gone through that kind of turbulence, you would understand the essence of saving.
What do you think?
I think we just always have to, prepare our minds for the fact that emergencies happen. We live in Nigeria. You could be going well for the first 6 months of the year. Your car can break down. You might lose your job. So we always have to be prepared for those emergencies.
So the point is, you save so that you can be ready for emergencies.